And we're on.
Oh, nice.
Hello.
Say your lines.
Sorry. I'm so nervous.
Why?
I've never done a podcast before. Who am I talking to? You? Or the people at home? I'm your host, Jimmy Kavanagh.
I'm your special guest, Hannah Mamalis.
And we are Comic Swapping Comics. It's Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday, Hannah.
Hi, yeah, happy Wednesday, hi.
You know what Wednesday means?
No, what does Wednesday mean?
Let me tell you what Wednesday means,
Please.
Hannah. It's New Comic Book Day.
Shit!
Yeah!
Oh no!
All the comic book shelves are filling up with new books. You like comics, Hannah?
I do like comics, yeah.
What's your favorite comic?
What's my favorite comic? I really like a comic called Blankets.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like blankets.
In general?
Yeah, as a concept. But as a comic.
Both begin with C.
Oh my god, you're
my
right.
God.
What is the concept of this comic, Blankets?
Blankets, it's like a true kind of autobiographical comic. It's kind of all about adolescence and growing up and stuff like that.
But we're not here to talk about blankets.
No, we're not.
Folks at home, I should explain. I'm joined today by Hannah Mamalis.
Hello.
The titular comic of Comics, Swapping Comics, Episode 1.
It's me.
Hannah is, I have my notes here.
Go on.
Hannah Mamalis.
I want to know what the notes say.
Star of stage, screen,
Oh, boy.
and indeed stand-up.
Oh.
The 3 S's.
There you go.
A triple threat. You may know Hannah from her roles in the old Dream Gun film reads.
Sure.
Those are big in the podcast world right now.
Yeah.
Mob comedy every Thursday.
Yeah, that's a thing.
And her own solo shows like The Egg is a Lonely Hunter. Hannah, also star of The Screen. You can catch her in films such as The Drummer and the Keeper.
Yeah.
And TV shows like Republic of Telly and Ripper Street.
Yeah.
It says here you're on Ripper Street.
I was on Ripper Street.
Did you play the Ripper?
No, I played actually one of the few female roles in Ripper Street that wasn't a prostitute.
Oh, congratulations.
I know, right?
That's big.
I got hit in the face while I was filming.
As part of it, or?
Kind of. One of the scenes we were doing, there was one of the other actors, he had to like kind of grab me and shake me aggressively and ask me where someone was. So he was like shaking me and he's like, "Where is she?" And then they were like, "Hey, guys, let's add in a slap here."
Oh my god, just add that in.
Yeah, and so they had to take me aside really quickly, and the stunt guy was like, "So you know how to take a slap, don't you?" And I was like, I don't actually. And he was like, he was like, "Well, when you see it coming for you, just turn your head like a snap."
That sounds like good advice.
It was good advice, but it doesn't follow through when you're actually doing it. And I didn't move my head fast enough, and he swung too soon, and he full force hit me across the face.
Name and shame.
No.
Who was this? I mean, we can watch the episode, I'm sure.
It's funny, like, it was definitely a really good take, and I tried to stay in it, but so he had to, like, shake me aggressively, like, "Where is she?" and then slap me, and then, like, say it again, like, "Where is she?" And then the second time after he slapped me, he was like, really delicately, like, "Where is she?" He couldn't keep it together.
And I have one more note here. No, 2 more notes.
Oh, fuck.
So you're also the host of your own podcast, co-host of your co-owned podcast, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of come in after it's already been a podcast for like 2 years. So it was originally Ed Salmon and Cian McGarrigle, and they had a really funny podcast called Revealables, and then Cian had to leave. That sounds ominous. He didn't. He just had to move county, so he couldn't do it anymore. So Ed asked me if I'd like to fill in.
And it's never been better.
Well,
It's been
thank
going
you.
from strength to
Have
strength.
you listened to Revealables before?
I have
on
listened to 2 episodes of Revealables.
Yeah.
Both of which you are the co-host.
Yeah. Okay.
of.
Sure.
I don't know this other guy.
Yeah.
But hey, he sounds like a
Hey,
cool
fuck
dude.
Cian.
Is that your review of Cian?
No, Cian's a lovely man.
Okay. How many stars?
5 out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah,
I gotta meet this guy.
He's a good dude.
And now, of course, you're probably most famous at the moment for the... I'm sure all our fans at home have seen the National Dairy ads.
Oh no!
Where you play Professor Cheddar, the dairy scientist. And guys, I was talking to Hannah before the show, and she's very graciously agreed to give us Professor Cheddar's famous catchphrase.
Oh my god!
If you would.
Jesus Christ! I actually
We'd
like
all
that
love to hear it.
that you've given my scientist a name because
yes.
in the script I was just Science Gal.
Science Gal.
Yeah.
Not Professor Cheddar.
Not Professor Cheddar. Professor Cheddar is much better.
Yeah, a very popular character on the fanfic websites. I don't know if you've seen.
Really? Why? What?
They just loved your portrayal so much. They
Oh.
want to be like, what is this character
Christ.
up to? And it's great because it's like there've been Professor Cheddars before, but it's like finally a female.
Here we
Professor
go.
Cheddar,
Yeah.
you know?
Look at her go.
But Hannah, please indulge us. What does Professor Cheddar say?
Do you want me to say the actual line?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, let me get my cheddar persona here for a moment. Love Irish dairy, and it loves you back with essential vitamins and minerals.
Amazing.
Right?
That's incredible.
Thank you so much.
No,
I got
thank
lost
you,
in my
thank
role
you.
there for a minute.
That was, it was like...
transcendent, right?
I know. Suddenly I was
Does it make you
want
want to eat dairy?
I assume, in order to play the role of Professor Cheddar, you must love dairy.
Correct. My contract says yes.
Does your contract really say you have to love dairy?
No. Maybe? I don't know. I haven't read it all the way through.
Hannah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me.
Sure, thank you.
On our first episode of Comics Swapping Comics. It may be extremely clear to anyone listening, I've never done a podcast before.
I've never been on a podcast before.
Don't you co-host
Yeah, I know.
Review?
Oh,
it was a joke.
Oh!
That's what we do on podcasts. We do jokes.
Do stupid jokes.
I had a
Yeah,
dream
to fill
last
the void.
night.
What?
Speaking of filling the void, little segue. I had an awful dream last night where
Go
we
on.
recorded this podcast, and I was just terrible at it.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you doing that was so terrible in the dream, or was it just an after feeling of being terrible?
It was like the whole way through I was like, why am I doing this?
What am I doing?
I'm not good at this.
Well, famously, nobody likes the sound of their own voice.
Oh, well, that's the weird thing because I
Do you
only
love it?
it's the only thing I love.
Really?
Is the sound of my voice.
Well, there you go. You're perfect for podcasting.
Thank you so much.
Some people hate the sound of their own voice.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like when you see yourself on camera for the first time as well.
That's awful.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. I remember seeing my side profile in this short little Charlie Chaplin video we did.
Yeah, you're like, what?
And I always knew people mention that I have a big nose.
Sure.
But I didn't realize quite how huge it was until I saw my side profile on film.
I remember realizing, you don't realize what your face does when you're feeling certain emotions sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember being like, fuck, is that the face? Is that what my face does when I'm feeling that particular emotion? Like, when I'm feeling joy or sadness, is my face always doing that? That's awful. I hate that,
But this is our first episode.
It is, and they only have to hear our voices. They don't have to see
That's
our stupid
true.
faces.
Thank God, because my shower's broken and I look awful. And smell
You
awful.
You
You don't have to smell us either, which is great. Just listen. But this is our first episode of the podcast. It says on my notes here.
It
the
does.
First episode in big
Hey,
letters.
look! It's underlined and there's a penis drawn beside it for everyone who can't see it.
Wait a second.
Just to keep Jimmy focused.
But the backstory to this
is
this is just a thing that I do in real life with my friends. Is I love comics. I'm a big comic collector, and I love swapping comics with my friends so we can talk about them. And as you know, Hannah, if you work in the creative industry or if you're a performer, you kind of have to turn everything you do in your life into a project,
into some kind of creative pursuit. Yeah. How else can you feel whole as a person?
Exactly, yeah. So this is that project.
Hey.
This is that project. Now, we're going rogue in the first episode. I feel like in this episode, We're already going rogue.
Do you think?
I think so. And hey, here's a little comics joke. I don't mean rogue from X-Men.
Oh, boy.
For the fans. No, I feel like, when you think of comics, you think either Rogue from X-Men.
Sure, of course. One. Yeah. My first protocol, absolutely.
You think the Beano.
Yeah.
Or Garfield.
Yeah.
Those are
the
kind
classics.
of the three. Yeah, that's like the holy trinity of comics.
Did you have those when you were younger?
The Beanos or the Garfields?
All of them.
All of them. Yeah. That's huge. Yeah, I have a big old box in my bedroom in my parents' house, full of Beanos and Dandies. A lot of them. I used to really love making ransom notes
out of the stuff from the comics.
Yeah, not like I didn't know they were ransom notes, but I just loved cutting out letters and making big pieces of paper.
So you had no problem like cutting magazines up. You weren't like precious about them or anything.
No, and maybe I should have been.
Yeah, they're probably worth a bit more now.
With cutting them up.
What kind of notes did you write?
I just like, if my friend was in the Gael Talk, I'd send them like a note.
Like a ransom note. Yeah. You creep.
Or I use them now as wrapping paper.
That'd be such a creepy, like, you're sending them just, I miss you, in ransom note letters. Fucking hell, Jimmy.
But none of these comics have any of those three things. No, there are no superheroes. There's no cats eating lasagna.
No.
There's no menacing kids.
No, there's no powers. There's no.
No, that's very true.
Just the power of feeling.
Yes, the power of art and words
and thought
combined.
And depth.
Hannah, that's the end of my notes.
Oh fuck, we're off the grid.
We're
off the grid.
Hey, let's talk comics, Hannah.
Yeah, all right, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Okay, so Hannah this week has given me Here by Richard McGuire. And what did I give you, Hannah?
You gave me The Artist by Anna Haifisch.
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 I want to say Haifisch.
Haifisch, yeah.
Haifisch.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. It's spelled Haifisch.
That sounds like Haifisch to me.
I think so.
Hannah, what did you think of The Artist?
I really liked it. It also, I said this to you before, like kind of gave me a mild existential panic a little bit.
How did that happen? What happened?
Because it's very relatable. Okay, so it's The Artist. So some background about The Artist. The Artist is basically kind of like a series of short comics. So you kind of said this to me before, but so they were first on Vice, is that right?
I think it was Vice.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool website for edgy teens.
Cool website. It's funny that inside the comic, the artist talks about an editor from Vice in it and being weird around them. So it's basically a series of like short comics. They deal with like, I think everything that kind of goes hand in hand with being a quote unquote artist.
Yeah.
So like perception of your own art, how you see it, perception of how other people see your art, how you go about making your art and the insecurities around that, the procrastination around it, social anxiety around presenting your art and being around other people's art, all of those things. So I think it deals with all of those things very well. I think doing anything creative, all of that stuff is like wildly relatable.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Would you consider yourself? I feel like it's a very loaded word.
Artist.
Yeah. Would you put that in your?
I think
because I think you should. I feel like there's people who would disagree with someone working primarily in comedy or stand-up. Or even something that's not painting to call themselves an artist.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think if you're doing anything creative with any kind of depth or semblance of feeling in it, I feel like that's art.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the artist in the book is an artist who paints, I think, or creates pieces of work that I think even if you were kind of sticking to that as what an artist is, even just the themes in it around creating stuff are relevant to anybody who creates anything.
Was there anything in the book that happened to this artist that has ever happened a similar thing to you in your career?
Definitely. There's like all of the fucking social anxiety stuff is like, there's bits in this where the artist goes to events and can't handle other people's perception of their art. And and how they deal with that and how they react to it. I did a stand-up gig once, not that long ago, and all of my agents were at it.
Ooh.
And the gig was fine, but not great.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to handle it afterwards, or I didn't want to. I knew it was going to be like a kind of tense atmosphere, or maybe that was something I was just even projecting.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, oh shit, and I felt really insecure about it. And so I got like beers from the green room and went and sat in the toilet of this venue until the rest of the gig was over. So it wasn't just me doing the gig, it was loads of people on the bill. I was on like first.
That's tough.
Yeah. I was on first, and I literally just sat in the toilet drinking beer on my own for like an hour and a half until the gig had ended, and I had to go out and interact. That
genuinely does sound straight out of this book.
Out of the artist.
I can really imagine this little feathery, skinny. Can you describe the main character?
Yeah, so the artist, like, I'm presuming the artist, their depiction of the artist in this is the depiction of what they see themselves as in their soul.
Yeah.
It's this kind of grotesque, like, looks like a mosquito. I think it looks like a kind of stretched out mosquito. Like a Stretch Armstrong. It looks like its limbs can go on and on and on forever. And it's kind of, it looks malnourished and like kind of skinny and gangly.
It's like if, the film The Fly with Jeff Goldblum? Mm-hmm. It's like if instead of Jeff Goldblum got in the teleporter,
the Stretch Armstrong got in there,
Stretch Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong. Jimmy, come on. You know this beloved character.
Yeah, Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
So Stretch Armstrong, and also I feel a little bit of a Smeagol in there as well.
Definitely, like something that's been living in a cave.
Yes.
For years, deprived of sunlight and love and
like an artist.
All of those things, like an artist, exactly.
Very much like an artist.
I mean, there are strips in this, which is them just like in their room, just hiding away from the world and from life and procrastinating. And there's another bit in it that I find, I don't know whether this is something that just creative people have. I don't think so, but I think a lot of creative people are hypochondriacs on some level.
Okay.
I think it's something to do with just being too self-analytical all the time.
Yeah, I get that.
And also just just constantly maybe sitting in a room and thinking that you're dying because you feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
But there's a strip in this where the artist cuts their finger and ends up in hospital. Yes. And the nurse is just like, yeah, you cut your finger and you fainted. And the artist is like, so I have cancer, right? Like, you found the cancer. I've gone through so many phases of constantly thinking I have cancer. Mm-hmm. I always think I have cancer somewhere in my body. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's the cancer, of course. It's the cancer in my ovaries, or it's the cancer in my brain, or... So I don't know whether that's the thing that is everyone. But I feel like if it's in the artist, maybe it is something that's quite general.
There's one particular strip in this... and I got this book for I think maybe 25 cents on sale in a comic shop. I just liked the look of it, and I was enjoying it. And then I think it's maybe the third or fourth strip. I just realized it was something that had happened to me almost exactly.
Right.
In that the artist is in bed. They're supposed to be working on a project, but they're watching the YouTube video, The Dog of Wisdom. It has the little dog flying through. Do you know this video?
I don't know whether I do.
And he's like ba 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 ba, and there's subtitles. The dog's like ba ba ba.
Oh, is it on the plane?
Yeah, he's on a little plane.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. So he's watching this video, and then he gets a call from like maybe it's the vice editor asking about the files, and he says, "Oh yeah, just finishing them up. I'm going to send you the files now." Mm-hmm. Then he hangs up and immediately just lies down, puts his covers over his head. Genuinely, like, not taking the piss. I owed some. I won't say their name.
Sure, yeah.
You know them.
Oh, do I? Ooh, tell me after.
I owed somebody a poster for a show.
Oh, now I know.
And I was in my bed watching The Dog of Wisdom.
Oh my God.
Because when I'm stressed or if I'm upset, on my Google Chrome, my first saved bookmark is The Dog of Wisdom. I don't know. It
just gives you a real kick.
Stuck it on. I got a call from that person being like, "Hey, you got that poster? We need it like now." I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you now."
No, Jimmy.
Hung up and then under the covers.
Oh my God. So that's incredibly like prescient.
Yeah, then. Absolutely. Yeah. No, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh wow, this is spookily." No, it's not just in general. It's reflecting how I feel. It's like spookily picked something.
This has come
from
into my
life.
Yeah. I find something depressing about the fact that this was on sale for 25 cents.
Yeah, it really is.
And that because I mean, this artist is a reflection of the artist who's creating it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As all art is in a sense, you know, you trying to make sense of your own life and your own experiences and your own stuff. So. Yeah, I'm like, oh no, she's not getting. I feel panicked for her.
Yeah,
is she making enough money off these comics? I don't know. It really does tap into all of that stuff. Definitely like the social anxiety stuff. You know, that whole thing of. I was chatting about this with my friend recently. The idea of like extroverts and introverts, and that typically extroverts get their energy from being around groups of people. So they are like charged up by that. Yeah. And introverts get their energy from being on their own, and that's how they charge up. And so introverts can be in social situations and have a good time, but it drains them to that extent. You know what I mean? Because they're not getting charged from it. Whereas extroverts are that. And that's like, that would be me to a T, in that even though I do things that are incredibly social all the time, like it's my job and my life, having to be very social, it like exhausts me.
You were saying when we met up today that you're still recovering from going out to lunch with your friend yesterday.
Yeah. I'm not so bad one-on-one. One-on-one I don't find it. I mean, I was semi-hungover yesterday, so that's a factor. But yeah, I'm not too bad one-on-one. I find being around large groups of people fun.
Yeah.
But exhausting.
Absolutely. I saw an article. Well, I saw a headline. As you do, and then scroll past, but then I was like, oh, actually that sounds pretty interesting.
I want to go back to that. Yeah.
But I saw an article which was basically saying, this was just this morning, that if you look at all successful artists, they've done this new study, the vast majority are successful through their friends.
Right.
And in order to be a successful artist, it's a huge factor. Like
connections
just connections and friendships. And I guess networking, if you want to call it that.
I know, yeah.
Which is, when it's like, there's another great strip in this where the artist is at a party and realizes they haven't said anything for 40 minutes.
That's the one with the vice person.
Yeah. And so they need to say something so they can be remembered. So they say, haha, look at the peas on my plate. They're touching.
Look like a caterpillar, yeah.
And it's not a great reaction.
No.
Why would you
Why
say
have you
that?
just blurted this out?
And I think that makes sense to me why someone like the most famous example is old Van Gogh or Van Gogh or however you want to call him. Who was not famous until he died. And by all accounts, maybe not a particularly nice man to hang around.
Sure, yeah, cranky fucker.
Yeah, absolutely. But then again, you do think of the amount of famous artists like, I want to say Picasso, who just sound like real pieces of work.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I think that is a massive factor, and I know so many people in like the industry.
You know so many people in the industry?
In the industry. But who, if networking comes naturally to you and you're good at it, it really can stand to you. Like I know so many people who do really, really, really well because they're incredibly good at networking and being able to figure out what people want in a situation and how to give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are a lot of people I know who And it is that kind of fucked up thing that's a part of it, that there are people who I know who are incredibly talented and don't do as well because they don't have that factor.
Yeah.
And then I know people who are not so talented who do incredibly well because of that. Yeah. And it can be kind of infuriating. And I think it's a thing. I'm not super bad at it. I can be a social person, definitely. And hey, I can have fun.
Do you like to have fun?
Sometimes I like to have fun. I can do that. It just doesn't come as naturally to me, and it can be something that you have to like, force a little bit more. So I get incredibly jealous of people that I'm like, oh wow, this is just something this is fine.
Yeah, and it's such a thing. Like I've heard it from so many people who do work in the industry that like if you want to succeed, like after every show, you got to go schmooze at the bar. And like I hate the idea of schmoozing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the idea of going to the bar.
Sure.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
But I hate the idea of meeting someone with a purpose.
Totally.
If you know what I mean.
And also that coming across. That's the worst thing. You never want to come across as someone who's doing that.
Yes.
And that's why the people who do it, who are really good at it, it never comes across.
Yeah.
But you see people, I've seen people lots of times who you can see it and other people can see it, that they are networking. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so you never want to be that.
No.
That's the thing. And that's what can put you off the whole thing. Because if you were going with that express purpose and that's what you're doing, then that I feel like if it doesn't come naturally to you, then that's going to come across. Absolutely. Definitely.
Hannah, we've got to take a quick break.
Okay.
But join us back for part 2 when we will continue talking about the artist and we'll talk a bit more about Here.
Yes, Here.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello,
we're the Valentine boys.
Sam,
Jimmy,
and Robbie.
And together we're the Valentine boys. Now we got a show going on in Edinburgh. Hi everyone, we're the Valentine.
Listen, we're the Valentine boys.
Hey, listen up.
Oi.
Hey.
Hey. Boys. Boys, we just...
Hey.
One of us at a time.
Hey everyone, we're the Valentine boys. That's Sam.
Sam.
Hey everyone, we're the Sam. That's Sam.
Jimmy.
And me, I mean you. Oh, fuck. Sorry, genuine mistake.
And together we're the Valentine boys. We've got a show on in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival from the 1st of August to the 25th of that same month.
Jesus, Sam. Did you put a bit of life into it? No, I'm the cool Valentine boy.
You're a fucking...
Did you just call me a
We can't use that take.
Jimmy, I demand you use the take.
Robbie is guilty of this crime. The jury has to be.
Valentine Boys, Charter Centre, part of Just the Tonic, Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Terrible ad.
What time is it? 11?
11:20 p.m. every single night from the 1st of August to the 25th of August at the Charter Centre in Edinburgh.
We got one night off.
Yeah, don't come on the 12th, idiot. We are the Valentine Boys.
Hello, podcast listeners. We are the Valentine Boys.
Excelsior!
And if you like comic books and Deadpool, you should come along to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
See the Valentine Boys, you should.
Hey, nerds and comic enthusiasts, we're Sam.
Glaven.
And Jimmy.
And together we're the Valentine Boys. We've got a show on in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival from the 1st of August to the 25th, but not including the bloody old 12th.
Excelsior! You can find us at the Charter Centre.
Oh, wow, Steve Jobs? What's his name?
I'm Steve Jobs, and I've returned from the dead to tell you to buy more iPhones. Enough said.
Stanley.
But if you're listening to this podcast today,
The 26th of
June.
We're doing a show tonight in Drop Dead Twice.
At 7 p.m.
It's a preview show of our big ol' Edinburgh Fringe show.
Because the rent is due. We're all gonna be there.
Me.
And even me.
And you just
And
might...
you! Sorry, Sam.
Look.
Coming soon to a galaxy near you.
And we're back!
Hey!
I'm Jimmy Kavanagh.
I'm Hannah Mamalis.
And we are
Comic Swapping Comics. Hey, we nailed it that time.
That was great. That was
so
fantastic.
good.
We got another comic to talk about,
We sure
Hannah.
do. Let's get into it.
Hannah, you gave me this comic. This is called Here by Richard McGuire.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask why you chose to give me this one?
I love it. I think it was a massive inspiration for me for the show that I did, the very first show that I did.
Is this egg or
yeah, this is egg.
This is
yeah,
egg.
This is egg. Yeah. I just think it's really interesting. It's it's mainly image over text.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I think it still tells a very rich story, which is very interesting. Did you like it, Jimmy?
I loved it.
Cool.
I loved Here. I read it in one sitting.
Yeah.
Which, for a comic book, it isn't that difficult
Sure,
to do.
yeah,
but
yeah.
What I mean is, at no point did I want to stop reading. At no point did I want to get up. So to describe the book, I feel, I didn't really...
It's hard, yeah.
It's hard, but it's also hard to do a podcast about comics, which are very much a visual medium.
Yeah,
I feel like I may
know.
have made a mistake with
know.
this format.
No, look, our word
Use our
descriptions
words
are
to
going to be
describe them,
so evocative.
Absolutely. Basically, every page of Here is a picture of the same living room from the same angle. But every page is from a different year. So sometimes it's 1957, sometimes it's 2014, and it's just all the different things, all the different tiny little events and little conversations that happened in that room. And what's great is it started, and here we go, first page, starts at 2014.
Here we go, yeah, over the first page there.
But you're flicking through the first few pages, and it's just pictures of the room in different years and different decades.
Own, yeah.
And it's kind of cool. It looks beautiful, but it does kind of look like maybe like some sort of weird IKEA catalog or something.
Yeah.
But then you get to this page, and suddenly the page is set in 1957, but in the corner there's a little panel that shows us what was happening at the same time in 1999, and it's just a little cat. And you're like, what's this cat doing
What's this
here?
cat? Hey, get out of here,
What's
cat.
this 1999 cat doing
You
here?
don't belong here.
And then suddenly in the next page, we see the room from before it was built, when it was just a forest in 1623. And we see the 1957 woman standing in her 1957 room in a panel. And the cat's over here still in 1999 licking his paw. I don't know how well I'm describing
No,
this.
I think that makes sense. And so the panels kind of... Each page, they start to overlap a little bit. So basically you have these little snippets from different years all kind of overlapping each other.
Yeah.
But all, from the same position.
Yeah.
Just through time.
Which is very interesting, because when I started reading it, I was like, okay, this is very much... because, there's comic books and there's graphic novels, and they're the same thing, but I feel like there's some that are more one than the other.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so when I was reading this, I was like, okay, this is graphic. No, there's no graphic violence or anything. But
just a murder happening in one room.
But then, as you read through it, you realize, well, it's graphic, but it's not a novel. There's no one story. There's lots of little, I don't know if you could even call them storylines, just lots of little events.
There's like tiny little interlinking things sometimes, but you're kind of even grasping with those.
Yeah, absolutely. Because from the first few pages where it's just basically the same picture with different wallpaper on it, it doesn't even seem like a comic. It's not in the same form. It's more like a picture book. But then the way that Richard...
The way that Richard
uses the panels on top and uses speech bubbles and that kind of thing, he really is taking a lot of stuff from like the medium of comics and using them in a way that I've never seen before. I've never seen done before. And it's really beautiful.
Yeah, there's lots of like there's lots of parallels in it, which are interesting. And I think that's what tells the story more so than there being a story. Is you keep seeing things kind of repeat a little bit, and you see how time kind of circles around like that. And there's a line in it, I think it's when it's in like 16 something. There's a father who hasn't seen his son, and he's coming with his grandpa.
Yes, yeah.
But the granddad has a line, and it's him coming to this house, and he says, "Oh, I haven't been here since kind of before you were born or something." And he was like, and I find it weird now coming here with my grandson. And then he has a line that says, "Life has a flair for rhyming events."
Yes.
And I feel like that kind of sums up the book a lot.
It really does. And that did stick out to me because I really appreciated how the book, there were some parallels, but it wasn't trying hard to stick in parallels. Mm-hmm. It did seem very random and very realistic. Mm-hmm. So, but I do feel like they absolutely deserved to get that line in. Like at that point in the book, they'd earned it.
Totally,
It wasn't.
It didn't feel like, hey, by the way, this is what the book is about.
It wasn't like, I don't know if you've seen Black Mirror, Bandersnatch.
Sure, yeah.
But when they keep talking about choices and how different choices in your life affect the
different
world.
Things, yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a second.
Yeah, hang on.
I'm making choices.
Yeah,
and
affecting their
game.
world.
Oh my god.
Whoa, mind blown.
Did you watch Bandersnatch?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
My favorite bit. I don't know if you got this.
Did you enjoy Bandersnatch?
Yeah. Kind of. It's like my good friend Robbie pointed out. Like it's not a TV show; it's a video game.
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
I also think it's enjoy it as
very
such.
Irreverent. Like I think it's kind of more crack than
I think so.
Else.
And because like halfway through, you have the choice to go to your room or kill Dad, and it's like I don't think in this situation anyone would choose kill
one
Dad.
or the other. Yeah.
And I think it knows that.
Yeah, there's lots of silly stuff in it. Like if you I played a lot of the alternatives, and like. You have the Netflix logo pop up on the screen and stuff. You know what I mean?
Just gonna mention
it's just very silly, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more actually committed to it being funny.
Yeah.
Than it is about it being deep.
I really enjoyed the Netflix bit because he realizes someone's watching him on Netflix and he starts shouting, hello, who's there? Mm-hmm. So I'm watching this in my living room and I say, "It's me, Jimmy Kavanagh." I'm watching on Netflix. You get
super invested, Jimmy.
Because I was like, what? If this, like, I see what they're going for here, and if they pull this off and he responds to me, that's amazing. They didn't pull it off.
No.
Some other
Were you
guy
slightly disappointed?
I know I shouldn't be, but I was hugely disappointed.
Yeah, fair. Because you really committed to that being a bit.
I was like, if I'm going for this, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed the bit where the guy gets high and says Pac-Man stands for power and control.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you've seen Scott Pilgrim, you know it's Pac-Man because it was Puck-a-Puck-Man.
Yeah.
But people kept changing it to Fuck-a-Fuck-Man.
Yeah.
So that was great.
So that was a fun bit, yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Black Mirror or Scott Pilgrim, which is a comic.
It's a comic. So actually, we get a free pass there.
That's good. That worked out well.
Yeah, we looped it back around. Yeah. Just like things happen in here.
In here! Double looper! Very nice. I've marked some more of my favorite pages in here.
Get them out.
Yes. This is one thing. Here seemed to be one step ahead of me all the time because as I was reading it, at one point I was like, wow, they really changed the wallpaper a lot in this book. Mm-hmm. But they never show you
someone doing that.
Doing it. Yeah. And then the next page...
It's a person doing that.
It's many people across the years changing the wallpapers at different times, which is just fun.
It is fun,
touch.
yeah.
Since I moved out of my parents' house, they recently repainted it. And it looks completely different, and it is, especially my bedroom, it's just a different room, and it's a whole different vibe.
Is your room still your room? Like, are all your things still there?
I brought most of them with me, but there are, like, they haven't repurposed it into another room.
Okay, yeah, it's still... Because that happened to me, and my dad at home now uses the house as an Airbnb.
Oh, interesting, okay.
So my room is just, it's completely gone.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of realizing, this was a couple of years ago, 2 or 3, where it was like, yeah, you don't have a room in this house anymore. So when I come home and I stay, usually there are people staying in the house. So I'll like stay down in, a spare room or something that's there. Sometimes I have to book my room to stay in my home.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's weird kind of, realizing that it's like, this room is no longer mine.
And just how something as simple as just different wallpaper, different paint, just gives it a whole
changes it all.
different vibe. Another point at which the book is way ahead of me is because it starts to do something which is quite funny and kind of silly, but also just very, like, adds so much to it in that it goes all the way back to like 300 million BCE, and it's just like smoke and fire, and like you can't really make out what it is. And so then I was thinking, hey, they're showing us the past, but they're not showing us the future.
Oh.
But then we get to, this is my favorite page in the whole book. I really like this, which is loads of panels with all the different insults
through the ages
that people were calling each other. So you got like 1965 is klutz, 67's dirtbag, 57 is square, 1950 is nerd. Nerds really stood the test of time since 1950.
1960s. Oh, I thought that said boofus. No, it says doofus. I was like, I've never heard boofus before.
You got wacko in 77, geek in 84, but at the same time, there's a big panel showing us what's happening at the window, and the window is the year 2111. And what do you know, Hannah? It's only gone and happened. The world is flooding, and there's water cascading through. It is scarily even more ominous than usual, because I feel like most things about the end of the world are set at least in the 3000s. This is set like less than 100 years from now, when the world completely floods. And then we do see years far off in the future.
Yeah, humanity has survived.
Yeah, it has survived. There's now like tours of, and I was like, this house was maybe like a house sometime. People used to live in houses.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
But there is something kind of, I remember reaching that point, and there's kind of a sadness to it, because this house has been here, and even though you've seen it when the house hasn't been there, you've seen people living in this house and lives and moments happening, and then you're kind of seeing it be destroyed.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
And then what's kind of hopeful about it later is when you do see that there are still people, and they're kind of going, and this was once a house. But the fact that kind of all of that history feels like it's being washed away.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but something about this book that I found very interesting just comes from the fact that the house I grew up in Portlaoise, we were the first family to live in that house.
Right.
It was a new housing estate, and that house was built and we moved in. So our house doesn't have the history that this house has. A thought that scares me, that really gets me down when I think of it, is that eventually the Kavanaghs aren't going to live in that house. There's going to be a whole other family. There's going to be other people. They won't care that was my house. They won't care that
it's their house now, and they have their own set of history.
Yeah, and that's great, for them.
It's totally that would upset me too, definitely. But it's that whole human nature thing of like, I don't want to be forgotten. I don't want our whole history to disappear. I don't want. But unfortunately, the world keeps turning, and
it does. Unfortunately,
really unfortunately, that fucking world keeps bloody turning. But it is the reason it inspired the show I did. There was kind of an element of that where it's about a girl, and she kind of gets trapped in that sense of like, so much came before and so much will come after. Who am I in the sense of that, basically? And she kind of has an ability to sense what was there before and sense what will come. And for a lot of it, it kind of tortures her. And then in the end, she kind of makes peace with it. But I think that is something that we all struggle with in the entirety of everything, How do I don't know, make my mark or matter in any way?
Yeah.
Deep.
Deep stuff from these comic books.
I know. Well, these ones were going to be deep.
These were deep, yeah. It is, when I realized we'd be starting with these two.
Yeah, they're both kind of in a similar tack too.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both also completely created by one person. Most comics will have one person writing, one person drawing, one person doing the letters, one person inking, doing the shadows. But it's nice to have two very singular visions.
Yeah, they're very auteur-y.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get that very specifically from them.
Hannah.
Yeah.
If you were to swap a comic with another friend that's not me, you got other friends.
Yeah, definitely have
some more of those.
other friends. Don't ask me to name them, please. I don't have any other friends.
Okay, cool.
Go on. Yeah, what?
If you had another friend,
sure, yeah.
Would you,
hypothetical.
Would you pass on the artist to them?
Absolutely, yeah. Specifically, I think for people who will relate to it.
Yeah.
Other people who create things, maybe, but I think it's also general. It is that human thing that we've been talking about, that everybody has those insecurities around the things they do and the people they're around, and so that's always going to be relevant. So yeah, I would definitely pass it on.
Absolutely, and yeah, I would highly recommend it, especially because I found it for 25 cents in a cardboard box at the corner of a shop. This deserves to be read by more people, I think.
Totally, and go check out Anna Haifisch. Go find her
Anna
online
Haifisch, if she's still going.
Yeah, I hope she is.
I really hope she is, because this is such a good book.
I know.
We must check out more of his stuff.
Yeah.
Hey Jimmy, would you pass on?
Do you want me to ask that question, Jimmy? So you're not
maybe
just
that would make sense. Yeah.
Talking to yourself over there?
I'm the host, Hannah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
You ask.
Okay. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, Anna.
Would you, do you have friends?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. So, would you pass on Here by Richard McGuire to friend?
You know what? I would.
Yeah.
And I will. No, I'm going to say...
all right.
This is your copy. I'll give you this one back. You can have it.
Sure, thanks.
Hey, watch the Ambassador to a Friend right now.
Oh,
shit.
Here's
your comic back.
It's being passed over.
Yes, but no, I would
Russell.
usually recommend Here, but I don't know why you've got this far if you don't like comics, why you would be listening this far, but maybe you know someone who doesn't like comics and who thinks they're a bunch of silly lasagna cats. Give them Here, because it can really show what you can do within the space of a comic.
Totally.
And it's very
art. That's what this all comes down to.
True art.
We've explored art in this podcast.
Wow, look at us go.
Yeah, we've done an art.
And this is episode 1.
Episode 1, and we've done an art.
We've done an art. I think maybe this podcast is art.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
God, get out of here.
Art about art. Hannah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For swapping comics with me this week.
It was great.
I never thought about how to end it.
Just, no, that was a good ending. We talked about.
Yeah, we've talked about them.
Yeah,
I know how we can end it.
Okay, go on.
I'm Jimmy Kavanagh.
I'm Hannah Mamalis.
And we were
comics swapping comics. So we comics have swapped comics.
We
in this podcast
we swapped
comics swapped comics.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening.
Well done, Jimmy.
You can catch Hannah Mamalis at the Vodafone Comedy Festival performing with Dream Gun Film Reads on Saturday 27th of July at 4:30, plus her own stand-up show on Sunday 28th July at 5:30. Plus, follow her on Instagram at Hannah Mam and on Twitter at HantMam to be the first to hear about her upcoming super cool secret project that'll be dropping in September.
Comic Swapping Comics has been a Club Valentine podcast produced by Jimmy Kavanagh, with special thanks to Benedict Desdale for the theme song. You can keep up to date with all things Club Valentine by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or visit clubvalentinecomedy.com. Happy Valentine's Day! There you go. Good night.